Long before the age of internet scam, one Ghanaian man had figured out a way to dupe thousands of people across the globe with a simple yet compelling story. Ackah Blay Miezah is probably the most infamous criminal in Ghanaian history. Known as the pioneer of advance fee fraud, Blay was known for his charm, intelligence, and manipulative nature. For decades, Blay convinced presidents, businessmen, diplomats, and priests that he alone was the custodian of a secret treasure, Ghana's hidden billions. Born into poverty in Ghana, little is truly known about Ackah Blay Miezah's early life. What we do know is that he was ambitious, charming, intelligent, and audacious. He trained in the United States, but his life there was far from honest. As a matter of fact, by the early 1970s, Blay Miezah was already serving time at Graterford State Correctional Institute in Pennsylvania for, among other things, defrauding an innkeeper. Behind those prison walls, a legend began. Through the use of propaganda, political gossip, and false news, Blay Miezah came up with a perfect lie so convincing that it would outlive him by decades. So what was that convincing lie? According to Blay Miezah, while Ghana's founding father Kwame Nkrumah lay dying of cancer in 1972, he entrusted him with a monumental secret. As Blay told it, Nkrumah had hidden away enormous amounts of cash, gold and diamonds during his years in power, wealth that he claimed was not stolen, but protected from Western powers who sought to plunder Ghana once again. Tens of thousands of gold bars, Blay said, sat in vaults across Switzerland, and to safeguard this fortune, Nkrumah had created the Oman Ghana Trust Fund, a multi-billion-dollar reserve meant for Ghana's future. And the only man entrusted to release that fortune, John Ackah Blay Miezah himself. The story spread like wildfire. Blay Miezah claimed that to unlock the fund, he needed money, temporary funding to clear banking fees, legal costs, and release conditions. For every dollar invested, he promised 10 in return. "Whatever I promise," he said with his signature grin, "I will deliver." And people believed him. From lawyers in the United States to businessmen in South Korea, investors lined up to claim their share of Ghana's supposed hidden fortune. Blay Miezah produced yellowed documents embossed with Ghana's coat of arms, bearing the alleged signature of Kwame Nkrumah himself. They looked authentic. They felt historic. To some, he was a hero. To others, a genius. To history, he would be remembered as a master of illusion. In 1974, while imprisoned at Yusa Fort in Accra for fraud, Blay Miezah's story caught the attention of Ghana's head of state, Colonel Ignatius of Champon. Ghana's economy was collapsing. The idea of billions locked away overseas was irresistible. So when Blay Miezah appeared before Champon, dressed in a crisp leisure suit and polished loafers, he sold the dream again that Ghana's lost gold could be returned for a price. Champon hesitated. Was he looking at a madman or a miracle worker? In the end, he took the risk. He gave Blay Miezah what he wanted, a diplomatic passport and his freedom. That moment transformed Blay Miezah from a petty fraudster into an international con artist. With a diplomatic passport in hand, Blay Miezah moved with the ease of a statesman. He travelled first class, stayed in the best hotels, and dined like royalty. He formed alliances with men like Robert Ellis, his American business partner, and even John Mitchell, the former US Attorney General under Richard Nixon. Everywhere he went, he spoke of the Oman Ghana Trust Fund, now said to hold $27 billion and 30,000 gold bars. Investors from London, Philadelphia, and Seoul poured their fortunes into his vision, each believing that they would soon be repaid tenfold. The money never came, but Blay Miezah's charm never faded. When investors demanded answers, he smiled and said, "Soon. The banks are just finalizing the transfer. Patience, the gold of Nkrumah, cannot be rushed." And when his followers doubted him, there was always a new excuse: a delay in Bermuda, unrest in Ghana, interference from the CIA, always something, always soon. By the mid-1980s, the cracks were showing. On a very small island, off the coast of France, investors gathered once again from all over the world. They had come for the long-awaited payout, only to be told by Blay to keep waiting. Inside his hotel suite, Blay Miezah lounged in patterned shirts while his Ghanaian chef prepared him some exquisite food, the aroma flooding the corridors of the Le Grand Mara Hotel. The investors gathered in the lobby, whispering about billions trapped in banks they had never heard of, banks that had been made up by Blay himself that did not exist anywhere in the world. The scene was almost comical if it hadn't been so tragic. Once again, Blay Miezah packed his Louis Vuitton trunks and left the island, promising that next time the fund would be released. But by now, investigators on 3 continents were closing in. In April 1987, a Philadelphia courtroom was struck with tension. Prosecutors had pieced together the web: fake documents, false bank claims, and millions of dollars gone. Judge Lynn Abraham called it one of the most fascinating and complex legal matters she had ever seen. The tale that had begun as a story of Ghana's lost gold had spiraled into one of the largest frauds in modern history, and yet, even in court, many of his victims refused to believe they'd been scammed. To them, Ackah Blay Miezah was still the man who could bring home Nkrumah's gold. The myth had become stronger than the truth. By 1989, Blay Miezah's empire was collapsing. His once powerful ally, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, had lost patience. Blay's diplomatic passport was revoked. When asked what he would do, Blay Miezah looked up from his meal and asked his aide, "What do you think I should do?" He was advised to go home to prove everyone wrong. On January 29, 1989, he boarded a Ghana Airways flight to Accra, confident he'd be back in 2 weeks. That same day, 60 Minutes aired a segment calling him the ultimate conman. When his plane touched down, he was placed under house arrest. He would never walk free again. 3 years later, in 1992, Ackah Blay Miezah died in custody, still proclaiming his innocence, still claiming the gold was real. But the story didn't die with him. As a matter of fact, one of his former investors formed the Friends of the Oman Ghana Trust Fund. He spent years petitioning the Ghanaian government to locate Nkrumah's hidden billions. In 2009, officials reopened the case. They found nothing. No documents, no vaults, no gold. Still, the myth endures because it offers something powerful: an explanation. For generations, Ghanaians have asked, how can a nation so rich in gold, oil and cocoa still struggle with poverty? Blay Miezah offered an easy answer: that the wealth had been hidden away, waiting for the right man to bring it back. It was a comforting lie, a lie that turned a con artist into a folk hero. Ackah Blay Miezah fooled presidents, bankers and diplomats, but his greatest trick was rewriting Ghana's history. He made the world believe that one man could hold the key to an entire nation's stolen fortune. In truth, the real gold was never buried in Swiss vaults. It was the faith, the hope, and the dreams of the people he deceived. This is the story of Ackah Blay Miezah, Ghana's king of fraud, the man who fooled the world and turned a nation's history into the greatest con ever told.